Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to Game Day Live, the halftime show. Jesse, Holley, Skywalker still. The Cowboys are up 6-3 on this Monday Night Football game, which has been a very, very strange one to say the least. But so far, Dallas is in the lead, and it ended on a weird note from both teams. But, you know, hey, here we are, man. Cowboys up 6-3. Jesse, kind of just some of our initial thoughts here over the next kind of 10 to 15 minutes.
I wrote down in my notes, I said the story of the first half for the Cowboys, what did I say 2 weeks ago? Put it on the loop.
Put it on the loop.
Put it on the loop. Penalties. Penalties. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 penalties. And all of these penalties, the first one they had a holding, which extended the Giants' drive. On the first drive got stalled by a holding play by Forniak.
Yep.
Then the drive got extended by a holding by Anthony Barr. I mean, there are things that are happening. They had a false start on the goal line. Then they followed up a false start, which moved them 5 yards back from the goal line, followed by another holding call, which pushed them further back.
Well, they declined because it was an incomplete pass.
Incomplete pass. It's all of these penalties, and we sound like, again, like we're saying this thing over and over and over again. The Cowboys have killed themselves, shot themselves in the foot with penalties, with extending drives for the Giants, and penalties that have ended their drives. And when you don't have your starting quarterback in there, you can't have these holding penalties, false start. It's the pre-snap penalties that really run me super hot.
I think 4 of the 5 of them have been pre-snap penalties.
Yeah, so to me, the story of the first half for the Cowboys
3 to 5,
in this 6-3 lead has been what we talked about many, many times before, the Cowboys being an undisciplined football team and creating penalties.
Well, you talked about you can't have penalties with your backup. You also can't drop open.
I was saving that for you.
Well, you shouldn't have, because I'm trying to.
No.
Trying to hold. Yeah, see, listen, there's a professional side that you got to have here. All right? But I was not professional. Right behind us, I was not. Because CD, you can't do that. And then you cannot follow it up with dropping the ball with a chance to get more points. It's 6-3. Yeah. It easily could be 13-3 or 9-3 or 12-3 or whatever the heck you want to call it. And that's, I'm just be completely honest, due to CD Lamb dropping the rock. Man, you can't do that, Jesse.
No.
I mean,
nope.
You know, you're supposed to be wide receiver 1, and I understand they said that he was supposed to be upset on the sideline and all these other things and all that.
He's supposed
to be wide receiver 1. But you ain't telling me. Amari Cooper, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back on a halftime show about it. But they know, and for the fans that have been watching they know how I feel about the Amari Cooper trade. I hated it. And it's not just because I envisioned CeeDee Lamb dropping wide open passes like this, but he's clearly mentally just not ready. And I don't want to harp on this the entire halftime because other things have happened, but you cost your team. That's a touchdown.
That's an easy touchdown.
That's a touchdown.
That's a walk-in.
You know what I mean? Cooper Rush would be, 9 for 14 or 9? Yeah, 9 for 14 for like $150, $140, and a touchdown. I mean, he's not having a bad game today. He's doing everything that he's supposed to do. You know, they're running the ball very well.
Yep.
You know, 14 rushes. They're very even right now. 14 rushes, 14 passes, 126 yards. Both Zeke and Tony Pollard are eating. I think they should continue at that and continue with the play action game. But you got to catch the rock.
Yeah, and the only difference between, and I shouldn't say the only difference, but what you had last week is you had 2 opening drives that resulted in touchdowns. And that allowed you to play from the lead.
Yeah.
And from that perspective, again, you had a drive stall because of a holding penalty, and you get a drive be extended because of a holding penalty. Then you get down in your goal line. You're in the red zone, and you have penalties that back you up and limit you now to just field goals when you want to get touchdowns. And of course, to your point, CeeDee Lamb, you cannot have that drop. I get that everyone's not perfect. You cannot, on any day that ends with the letter Y, can have that drop. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't give a damn if you wide receiver 1, 2, or 3. If you're a wide receiver in the National Football League, let alone being, quote-unquote, the wide receiver 1, you got to make that football catch right there in your sleep.
Especially in a game where you're just not going to get too many deep throws in this game. I mean, you'll have opportunities, right? Like this one. We talk about. You can catch Wink. You can catch him, but you have to convert, and that was it. You got them in the perfect call. They did it like a muddle rush because they thought it was going to be a screen. Nobody came out for Cooper Rush. He's just back there patting, waiting for you to clear, and he clears, and you drop it, man.
Yeah.
Another thing you have to do, you got to convert in the red zone. Can't be 0 for 2 in the red zone, and I think goal-to-goal situations, if I'm not mistaken. And I understand there was a tackle on Noah Brown that they didn't call, but we can't leave it into the ref's hands. You got to convert down there in the red zone. But I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, from an offensive standpoint before we get to defense, the one thing they are doing at an elite high level right now is running that football.
And that is led by one Tyler Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Tyler Smith is playing, at least in the run game, he is playing some sound football. I mean, getting to watch him, the two of the biggest runs, it came one, Noah Brown came down and blocked
great block.
on Thibodeau. The other one, CeeDee Lamb, came down and blocked on the defensive end. But it all came from Tyler Smith pulling on the outside, and he just mowing down defenders as they got that thing. So for Tyler Smith, and then when you initially inserted –
I was about to say.
When you initially inserted Peters, literally when you inserted him at 11-11 in the second quarter, that's when they got the ball back. You inserted him. Pollard 46-yard run.
Right off his hip, right in between Tyler Smith and Jason Peters.
46.
Peters gets upfield a little bit, sees, I don't know if it was a tackle or a linebacker or whomever, coming down. He gets enough of the seal to get him out the way, and he comes right off his hip for 46 yards. So, yeah, man, I mean, continue to just pound the rock. You talked about going to the edges, attacking the edges on these boys because they have slow linebackers. I don't think their linebackers are all that great. No Leonard Williams to get that much penetration. I think the offensive line has done good pass blocking too. They've done good run blocking. You just can't do whatever CD did. But to finish the offense, go ahead.
No, I was saying to that point, even when they did the CD play, they loaded up. I mean, they loaded up and had 2 or 3 blockers in front of Cooper Rush. That was a one-man route. That was like a one-man route.
Perfect call, man.
We talked about it. You can catch Wink, but when you catch him, you got to convert. And you couldn't have asked for a better coverage. No. You couldn't have asked for better protection. And you couldn't ask for a better throw.
No, it was everything. Checkmate. Down the line.
Except we all, as receivers, will say, well, that was $1 million route. Penny catch. On the other side of the ball, the defense has held their end of the bargain here. Saquon Barkley has 7 carries, averaging 3.7 yards per carry, but it's been Daniel Jones with his scrambles that have been keeping drives alive. He's got 4 carries for 24 yards, and most of them, if not all of them, have been on scrambles. Because of the pass rush has been there. DeMarcus Lawrence, 2 sacks in the first half. I believe the other sack came from Dorrance Armstrong, right? I want to say Dorrance Armstrong, who also has a block. Shout out to D.A., man. D.A.'s having a game today. Dorrance Armstrong, I think, has the other sack. The defense has done what I thought the defense would do. Yeah.
I hate to say this because I don't want to – the game is close, but this game really shouldn't be. And what I would have loved to see is the offense to kind of work through some more things in the second half, but they can't just work through things right now. They got to get points. They got to score. And I feel like a touchdown might put this thing away, to be completely honest with you, just the way the game is going. But the defense is holding up their end of the bargain. Daniel Jones continues to do dink, dink, dink. They're not going down the field with these guys. They've been trying to nickel and nickel. Not nickel and dime. Nickel and nickel. That's why he's averaging 5.8 yards per pass attempt. And that's how they're going to try to beat.
But here's the one thing that you have to – because eventually they will take a shot. Eventually they'll take a shot. Now, it may result in a sack. It may result in incompletion. But when you have a game close like this is one of those games where – and you've seen how they started to get a little bit of kind of momentum towards the end of the first half on their last 2 possessions that they had.
Daniel Jones scrambling.
Daniel Jones scrambling. So you're looking at they're going to eventually try to take a shot because at the end of the day, a touchdown might end this game. If it continues, whoever scores the next touchdown might be the determining factor of how this game goes. So the Giants get the ball out of the half. I wouldn't be shocked if they get the ball out of the half, and as soon as they get to the 40-yard line, take a shot. Because the Cowboys have seen what you've seen, what I've seen. Nickel and nickel and nickel and nickel and nickel, and eventually you saw who come into the game. Got a little Kenny Galladay in the game, right?
Yeah.
You got him in the game a little bit, so, it's kind of like we haven't prepared for Kenny Galladay. We know he's there, but then you insert him into the mix, and now all of a sudden despite what Kenny Golladay may be going through with the coaches in the doghouse, out the doghouse, he's still a player. If you get the ball to him, he can do something with it. However you get it to him, he can still do something with it. So, this is one of those games where you wanna put a team away early, and you don't want to give them confidence, because this is the way the Giants played all year long. They got 2-0 because they played these gritty, scrappy games, and then when it got down to it, they've been able to make a play late in the game to give themselves a lead and give themselves an opportunity to win the football game. So the Cowboys got to come out in the second half, right their wrongs, and try to get the thing on the board when now Daniel Jones is forced to be a passer and still not being able to have that balanced attack, whether he's running or scrambling or handing the ball off to Saquon Barkley.
Excuse me. This is one of those games where I think the inferior team, New York Giants, feel good going into halftime, right? And you just don't want to keep these type of teams close. We just watched yesterday in the National Football League games like this, where the team that's not favored or is highly favored keeps it close, and then the other team pulls it out at the end. If I'm buying the ball, I'm going into this half fired up.
And let me say this, that's still Cooper Rush. That's not a seasoned vet at quarterback for the Cowboys. So he's still also susceptible to making a mistake in this game. We talk a lot about Daniel Jones making a mistake, but Cooper Rush he's in Dak Prescott. He isn't your seasoned veteran. So when you have close games like this, every single thing matters, and maybe he gets tight. Maybe not. I know everybody's talking about his personality. He's not that guy who's going to get too high or too low.
Yeah, but the game's the game.
But the game is the game, and he's not susceptible to making a mistake in these type of environments.
Speaking of our guy who is not going off today, Michael Parsons, but it looks like they have him on a bit of a pitch count. I don't think he's with some series. He only comes in on third down, so he's clearly working through that. Still got a shot to get them 2 sacks, so we'll see what happens. But instead of Micah getting the 2 sacks, it's been DeMarcus Lawrence leading the way. He's got 5 tackles and 2 sacks, and obviously the 2 tackles for loss on Twinkle Toes, our mouse in the house. Yeah. I'm just saying, They don't even need Micah in there to get him. But Micah had this one pass rush where he looped. He didn't even really loop, man. He tap on Twinkle Toes, and he comes on 64 and just mushes him to the ground. I think he was surprised at it because he looked down and was like, oh, all right, and then went back to the quarterback.
Embarrassed that man on national TV.
Oh, my goodness, man. He's just different, man. And you can tell he's still working through things. But I think Micah, he's the type of cat where I don't want to go too far back, but there were times where we were like, all right, DeMarcus, where we need you on this.
Yeah.
But Micah, I feel like Micah's going to be, okay, we need you, Micah, to make a play. And he just seems to always make the play.
And that's what you want from your superstar athlete.
Yeah.
It's you don't pay Patrick Mahomes $500 million to make all the plays. Just the plays when the play.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with Michael Parsons. He may not make all the plays, just make the play when we need it the most.
All right, final thoughts or final, what do you think is going to happen here in a second?
Cowboys better clean up these penalties and find a way to put scoring drives together, or they may find themselves in a situation late in the fourth quarter they didn't want to be in.
I will continue to run this rock, work the play action, and Cooper Rush will find somebody, I think. So just continue to keep at it here, and I think the Cowboys will get away with it. But you got to score.
Yep,
you got to score. All right, Cowboys Nation, make sure y'all come back. Holla at us at the post-game show, Game Day Live post-game show. We're here at Texas Live Revolver Brew House. We will see you later. Peace.